We had an executive session for legal matters. Hopefully by next meeting, we'll be able to open up the township and have visitors if they want to come.
I hope so.
There's a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Rich, second.
I'll second.
Jim, any question? Motion's been made and second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Our bills for this month are KLH Engineers for $400, Sherry Crawford for $221.57. Jablonski, Costello and Lecky is $1,726.75. Gives us a total of $2,348.32 going out, and leaving us a balance of $56,708.62. That's the extent of it.
Make a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We gave a checkbook balance. I'll make a motion to approve the bills as read.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Solicitor's report.
I covered the majority of this in the executive session, but just to summarize here in the public meeting, pursuant to various discussions that were appropriately held privately with members of the board, and we were able to negotiate a resolution of the eminent domain proceedings for the property that's being acquired where the plant is going to be located. I understand the board will be making a motion in accordance with what was negotiated, and I will leave it go at that.
Very good. Engineer's report.
Thank you. So last meeting, we were waiting for our second of two DEP Part 2 permits. We did receive that, I believe, on March 5th. I think that was the day or 2 days after your last board meeting. So we now have all of our DEP permits. The only two permits we still need are the PennDOT permit and the railroad crossing permit. Those should be pretty straightforward in getting. Easements, we have been reviewing those, and what I'd like to do is actually send out a second or third mailing to the outstanding easements and give them a 60-day time frame, if that wouldn't be too much of a hassle. And whatever I need to do to make that happen.
Well, we could certainly try to do that again. I think that the chances of it achieving a lot are low, and there will be costs associated with doing it, of course. I'll be honest, I would probably, from a legal standpoint, just recommend that we file eminent domain on whatever's left. And if someone comes at that point and says, hey, I'm willing to sign an agreement, then we get an agreement for those people. I think what you'll find, the majority of people just won't do anything, and the eminent domain then will be finalized automatically if they do nothing after 30 days. But, you know, that's up to the board.
Would now be the time to start that process? Is there any
What we're going to
reason not
have
to start that?
What we're going to need to do is, first of all, we're going to have to identify what properties
Yes.
we still do not have easements for and need easements for, whether there's been any changes in the drawings and such, that there may be some that were never a approach. Now, if there are some like that, I would recommend that we give those people an opportunity before going to eminent domain. But assuming there are none like that, I'm not sure a third mailing makes a lot of sense. But once we would have all that, then we will have to prepare the eminent domain filings. We will do the filing for all the right-of-ways in one document, but it's going to be an extensive and expensive in terms of the filing fees from the courthouse filing. They charge per name, and so it's going to be pricey. But that's why I wouldn't add any more cost to it than what you're already going to
You're
have.
gonna be there anyways,
Yeah.
probably most of it.
And again, once it's filed, unless someone would have a legitimate preliminary objection, which is extremely unlikely, the right-of-way becomes ours. The only question becomes, do they try to force it into a board of view and go through all that over what half of these are temporary easements, and the ones that are permanent, it's gonna be something buried underground. So we'll have to see. But
So perhaps you and I start the paperwork and just not file.
yeah, the only other thing we're gonna have to do, and this keeps happening, but it's a necessary evil, is we're gonna have to go through and confirm current property ownership. Because the last time we did that, now at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Could have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're gonna have to, after we figure out which properties are involved, we're gonna have to do, it's not a full title search, but we're gonna have to go through the records and make sure that who is the recorded property owner. And if that's changed at all, and then we can get that all together. But we're probably looking at, once we've identified the properties, we're probably looking at a 60-day minimum process to do everything and get the documents prepared and such. As I said, that's gonna be a pretty extensive filing when we do it, so.
Well, why don't we, maybe by the next meeting, you two guys get together. Are there still any properties that ask for some revisions that we haven't gotten back to them
There's
on?
probably 12 to 15, I bet.
Because I think even before we start this other, we need to do that.
Oh, yeah,
And
and
then
get
maybe
those
then
people.
we'll get at least
Yeah,
those.
Either yay or nay on
Yeah.
those. Yes.
And then, that would help.
Yes.
Reduce the number of
Sure,
filings if
sure.
we could get those.
And then we really, as I've said before, no, more than once, we gotta make sure about any ag security properties. If we have an ag security issue, that's gonna
You're
have to
better
be
off
looked at.
realigning.
You are. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
You almost can't win that argument.
You're not gonna win ag security.
Yeah, unless it's just physically impossible to do it any other way. Not that it costs more, just it can't be done any other way. You're probably going to lose in that argument.
So by the next meeting, if you guys work on that.
And decide how to
and then
proceed.
Give us a report and then we'll go from there. But I'm hoping that at least those
Yeah,
12 of those 15 we
can agree to sign.
Right.
And I was contacted by Rick Walsh.
Rick
One-
Walsh.
He called me, I told him, I don't know.
He called me a couple times.
Yeah, and he's
So-
willing to sign whatever, he just
Right.
wants to make sure he's part of the project.
Right.
We found it's the subway and
And
the
the
adjacent
post office, and
building.
the Dollar General.
And it sounds like that was maybe a late addition, grinder pumps, small diameter force main. So he was happy to hear that, and I need to find, because there is an easement required on those two parcels, so I need to make sure he's received the documents, and if he hasn't,
Yeah, he'll
I'll
sign
get
it
those.
right away.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
just
yeah.
he was happy to hear that he was
Yeah.
included. The only other, I guess 2 more updates. We had the conference call with the bank. I think they're satisfied at the moment. We're gonna have another call in 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah, he said 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
And then I did reach out to RUS again because it was Penvest RUS. It seems like RUS is more suitable for this project. They recommended contacting Congressman Reschenthaler's office. That was at the end of March. Talked to them. They said, with all this potential stimulus money, now was the time to get on their radar. They thought we may qualify under this STAG grant program, state and tribal assistance grants, specifically for wastewater and drinking water projects. He had a list of questions. I provided that to him. In his office, they sent that off to DC prior to this April 8th deadline. Reached out again just to see where things stand, and haven't heard back yet, but I told him we basically need a 20-some million dollar grant. We can support probably a $9 million grant with the rates we're looking at having. So we need substantial grant money, and again, he thought it would qualify under that program, so.
No, wait, you mean a
We'll
$9
see.
million loan or a $9 million?
He knew that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
And yeah, we should be able to support a $9 million loan.
Well, I was at a meeting,
Yeah.
I lose track of time, must have been last week. That was the Lou meeting, you were there. And Jason Ortite was up front, and somebody asked him about funding.
Yes.
And basically he said, he says, I think we can come up with a couple $1 million.
Okay.
So we need to reach out to him again
Yeah,
and say,
okay.
listen here,
Yeah.
you said it in public, we expect it now.
Yes, okay. Yeah, and like we
Yeah.
talked before, it's probably gonna take multiple
Right.
grants from multiple sources.
Well, I think it's very important that we do stay on top of that, though.
That's who I was
And
gonna.
Dave, even if it
Yeah.
gets to the point where, we actually request a meeting
Yes.
and sit down with those folks, as many of us as can attend.
Yes.
And let it be known where we're at with this project, and because the money is coming eventually down that pipeline.
Oh, yeah, and we're gonna be shovel ready, so what
And
better?
we are shovel ready at this point.
And it may be an opportunity that never comes by again.
Yeah, yes,
So,
absolutely.
We're not asking for much, only what, 40 million?
23.
5 trillion, that's
Seriously,
We're
nothing.
talking about trillions, so big deal.
Right.
Right.
we need to stay on top of that
Yeah.
and really, ask for a meeting
Yes,
Yeah, you're right.
with either the congressman or
yes,
the state reps or whoever we have to meet with. And at least let it be known that, we're serious about this, we're united in our effort.
right.
And, look, this is what we have,
Yeah, it's been going on for
And,
a long time.
yeah, I
Long
mean,
time.
I'd certainly be willing to do that.
Okay.
'Cause I think it's
Okay.
important.
Okay.
That's all I have unless there's any other questions.
I don't have anything else. Anybody else?
I could just see this making the population in this township explode.
Yeah, well, good possibility of that. Nobody on the phone, no citizens here, old business, we talked about the eminent domain, talked about permitting, we talked about financing, new business. We need to make a motion to, move on that property for the plant.
Okay, well,
You want me to phrase the motion?
Why don't you, yeah,
All right, you need a motion that is to approve of the negotiated settlement to acquire the entire parcel that we were taking a portion of through eminent domain for the sum of $360,000 plus payment of statutory fees related to the eminent domain proceeding that was underway.
I will make that motion that we take a vote as a board to approve the purchase of that property where the treatment facility will be located, and the sum of $360,000 to include the statutory fees that will accompany it.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. And now we need another motion. You'll have to make that too, allowing me to sign the
Yeah.
paperwork
Yes, very
for the
good.
purchase of the,
Additionally, a motion that will enable our chairman, Gary, to sign the paperwork to make those things official.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Do we have to transfer any funds or are we
No,
still
we're
okay?
good shape.
All right. Any other new business?
Yeah, you need to make the motion to approve a title search for the property.
Yes. I'll make, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that we have a title search done on the property that we're acquiring.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And just to
Thank you.
note for the record that I will be arranging that.
All right, nothing else? Next meeting is scheduled for June